We're back at the STRAAT Museum here in Amsterdam. Today we have a special guest for our next STRAAT Talks. It's no one less than Jad El Khoury from Lebanon. And we're going to wait a second for him to join. Jad made the work in the back. It's called Care Portal. It's a very special work and we're going to hear everything about it. Let's wait for him. If you have any questions, just click on the question mark below. I assume there will be a lot of questions regarding this beautiful artwork. I see Jad is here already. Well, Gerard, I'm only going to do it with Jad, so you can ask questions, of course. Yeah, I'm here doing the talk with him. Of course, we can ask you to join us later, Gerard. Gerard is also one of the people who contributed to the work, and he's representing the Gallery Middle East here in Amsterdam. And let's wait a second for him to join us. I see he's here. One second, guys. Yes. Hi, Jad.
Hi, David.
Hi. Welcome from Amsterdam.
Yeah, thanks.
We already tested this afternoon the connection, so it should all be working well. Last time I was still in office. Now I'm actually sitting in front of the work you know so well, the Care Portal. For people that are just tuning in, this is another edition of STRAAT Talks. It's going to be a live session of 1 hour with questions and answers between me and Jad. We know each other quite well. But please join us for any questions that you have regarding this very powerful work here in the back. And let's just kick it off, Jad. It's a pleasure having you for this Q&A. I know you've been watching a couple of the last ones that I did with other artists, and now it's your turn. Can you do?
Yeah. I was wondering when will you invite me, so I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, David.
Of course. Well, to be honest, like the work in the back, how crazy it sounds, is only sort of the beginning of this whole project that we're going to do together.
Yep.
But let's just start with the beginning. Can you do, like, for everybody that is watching and will watch later, do a little introduction of yourself? Because I'm sure you can do that better than I can.
Yes, so my name is Jad El Khoury, and I grew up in Beirut, in Lebanon. And I studied architecture, and then a year ago, I graduated from another master of art and public space, which I did in Oslo.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I've been an artist since childhood. Like I started with illustrations and doodles, like with ink on paper. And at some point, I started with street art. And now, after school, I started like working with institutions and museums and galleries.
There's lots of things that we can discuss. Already a couple of things that you mentioned, of course, that will also pass through the story. I'm mostly happy. Thanks for the nice words over there. It's in Dutch, but I'll explain later. I'm mostly happy that we're doing this live talk and that we can actually tell the story behind the Care Portal, because we've been in touch for quite some time. Regarding this project in the different places, of course.
Can you hear the cat in the background?
We
yeah, I'll just try to guide her to the room. 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Just sure. We can do this. All right.
Yes, sure. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just let me know. For any artists that are watching and part of the museum, let me know if you want to do the next STRAAT Talk. Cesar, I know you're watching. I know there are a couple of others. Ox Alien, you're watching. Just let me know. And this is part of doing a live. Things can happen. There could be a cat just joining us. And Jad is back. Hello. Hi. Let's go back to a couple years ago because we met each other, I think, at the Affordable Art Fair. Was that the first time that we met?
Yeah.
And I met you together with Gerard. Gerard is representing the gallery Middle East Art here in Amsterdam. He was also of huge help with the finalization of bringing this shutter that you can see in the back to Amsterdam. But that was the first time that we met, and that was the first time the idea popped up of doing something together here at the STRAAT Museum. Can you take us back to the beginning of the first idea that you had?
Yeah. To present this work, I would have to start by saying that I have been working with war traces for a while. Like when I was doing the illustrations, I was drawing them around missile holes and bullet holes. And these are physical traces that you see in Beirut almost in every street.
Yeah.
But they also represent the social, economical, political dynamics that we still live until today, even though the civil war has ended more than 30 years ago. So these are things I've been like surrounded with, and I've worked with almost my whole life. And for me to bring such a piece from the street of Beirut to Amsterdam, it's mainly informative, like it's an informative work through the materiality, trying to like tell what's happening in places of wars and oppression.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea developed a lot from when we started until the day we exhibited it.
Yeah.
Which we will come to it, but it was also a very like awkward coincidence, the day of the opening of or the vernissage.
Yeah.
So the initial idea, I remember 3 proposals. There was the rolling shutter, like the metal curtain that we have now, and there was also a wall that I looked for the budget on how to ship a complete wall, and a house, like a small house. So the proposal was 3 options, and each was fully studied in a way that I like met people, engineers and structural engineers who could make it possible to like fix the house in a way and dismantle it and reinstall it in a way after shipping, and calculated the budget and all. And the idea was back then to continue the series of illustrating around the missile hole. So I would have, if that project happened back then, that's like 6 years ago, I would have painted my drawings around the missile holes and bullet holes. But
sorry to interrupt. Do you have like for the people watching at home, do you have like an example there? Maybe of the drawings that you did, the doodles that you did back in the days in Lebanon.
You mean I show it on the camera?
Yeah, if you have like an example, maybe. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't prepared anything, but on my Instagram one can find everything. Normally it's like very useful for me to have visuals like while presenting, because my work is very visual.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in this format it's a bit tough.
It's okay for the people at home. You can watch it later.
Yeah, check my page on Instagram and you can see it.
Yeah, it's basically just this little doodles around the bullet holes and the holes in the walls through the civil war, because of the civil war. And there are like the whole sides of buildings that you did, right?
Yeah. So I was climbing on buildings using ropes.
Yeah.
Here I would like to thank my friend Antonio who taught me how to use the ropes. He works with the Red Cross for rope rescue.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a big adventure.
Mm.
Yeah, on like 4 a.m., as soon as on sunrise, I started climbing and painting around the the bullet and missile holes, and that was done on two buildings in Beirut, which are accidental monuments because they are buildings that remained abandoned until today, and they just serve as a reminder, a collective reminder of the trauma and the pain of the war.
Right. So your drawings are still
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, yeah. Now, unfortunately, they are covered with an advertising, but yes, under the advertising, they are there.
Can you believe it? Okay. So that was
Yeah.
one of the first three ideas of adding something to the collection of Straat. If we
Yeah.
fast forward a couple of years, I'm now sitting in front of this shutter
Yeah.
that you took out of his original place and shipped
Yeah.
to Amsterdam.
Yeah, there's a story here that I haven't told you, but it's a big thank you here to my dad because he's the one who convinced the owner of the library
Oh,
where
really?
the shutter was to give it to us. Yes, because I tried to tell him that hey, I'm an artist, I'm doing this, and I would like this shutter, and I would replace it for you. Like I would put up a new one for you, and he didn't accept. He was worried, like because he said it's hard to remove it,
Hmm.
and I just don't want this hassle. Like it was easier for him to say no. And then I
Yeah,
was telling my dad what happened, and it turned out that he knows someone who knows someone who knows this owner of the library. So, like serendipity has been with this project from the beginning.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, it was taken from Beirut, from a street that was very close to the Green Line, which is like the street separating the two areas during the war,
Mm-hmm.
like west and east. And like the traces you see on it, it's a mix between bullet holes and also like the shattered pieces from the ground, because a bomb exploded next to it, like a missile landed next to it. So what you see there is like the shattered pieces from the street that went to this. During the war, like many others, the shops had built walls behind the metal,
Yeah,
so nothing entered to the shop, and no one was injured in that specific missile. But
that's good to
yeah,
know.
it was yeah,
That's good to know.
and and yes, of course, thanks to Gerard because like my gallerist in Amsterdam because he financed the shipping from
Yeah,
Beirut, and that's very much appreciated. Like that made it possible.
he has been
So
of
here it is now.
big importance. I'm sure he's still watching, and he's also very important in the continuation of this project. So eventually it got to Amsterdam in one piece through Rotterdam. I think it stayed in the harbor for quite some time, and Geert was just
Yeah,
calling all the time
no
to get it
one
out of.
understood. Yeah,
Yeah,
what's that?
yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy for the people at home. Sorry for this uh, small talk between me and Jad. But it got here in one piece, and we opened it in February of last year. Let me just show you because I'm with my big body covering part of the work. Let me just show you and people at home how it looks because it's actually okay. There you go. It's this shutter, and it's actually massive. Ajat. We came up with this frame to keep it in one piece. Um, and as Jad will tell in a second, you can see all kinds of colorful post-it notes in where used to be bullet holes and other kind of holes. So Jad, you will just start telling us when I'm going to sit down again what we see.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, it looks like this all the time. instead of these awful empty bullet holes that they're normally there. We bring color back to what used to be a shutter in front of a shop in Beirut in Lebanon. So what's the whole? I'm going to show myself a little bit. What's the story behind the work, Jad?
Yeah, it's like very nice to start with. I think the aesthetic. For me, the aesthetic here is both. Like first, it's the colors that are filling the gray, dark, aggressive material. But at the same time, I see the aesthetic here as the collage of experiences that are happening through the participatory side of the work. So that is very much Nordic influence on my work. 2 years at Oslo National Academy of the Art, I became very much interested in socially engaged, project-based, participatory artworks. And in this piece, it was my first trial to do a work like that. One of my big inspirations in such, like to give an example on such works, beside the installation behind you, there is this amazing garden called Lusater in Oslo, which was made by a collective of artists called Future Farmers. And it's a garden that is made on over a car tunnel. So you would have cars going under the garden. And in that garden, no one can rent or have their own private box to a garden. It's for everyone. It's a communal space. And they have done a communal kitchen there. And every time I go there, there is some amazing things, amazing connections happening. They do on Wednesdays communal dinners where anyone can participate in the making and take part. They do baking workshops, medicinal plant workshops. Any artist who has an idea can contribute and go and do it there.
Right.
So, yeah, to go back to the installation.
No, yeah, fine. It makes sense that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, thanks. So with Care Portal, my idea was to make, in a way, the Street Art Museum a generator of graffiti and street art that would happen outside in the streets. So that's where Portal comes from, like the portal part. And visitors in the museum, they have like a table where they can write with post-it notes, with colors, and they can write messages of hope and peace, or wherever they feel like. I've been like we've been finding origamis, and some are hate messages, some are like just drawings, random drawings. So it's in a way allowing visitors to express and take part of the work, however they feel like. Yeah, so, and I'm very grateful for STRAAT for sending me every month almost boxes of messages, which the customs always open. Like I always get them with a sticker written customs because again, they wonder what's that, you know, like what's happening. A box of papers. Yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and with these boxes, like with all the messages I'm getting, they are like thousands of them, which I'm grateful for, which has a healing effect on me as well, to see that many people are participating. So I open as much as I can by myself, but at the same time, it is like impossible to go through all of them. Ideally, one day I would like to digitalize them and make a book out of it, like with all the messages, to make them accessible also to anyone who is interested. Yeah, but for now, what's happening with the messages, it's some workshops that are happening. I'm organizing workshops. So the workshops, so far I have done 2. One of them at Praxis in Oslo, there was an art residency where they invited 10 artists who came from either war zones or countries that are with oppressive or tyranny governments. So we were 10 artists from Ukraine, Sudan, Palestine, Syria, etc.
Right.
And we worked together. We opened these messages together. Each selected the few that they find interesting, or they talk to them, or just funny. And we discussed together the selections.
Yeah.
And another workshop took place also at an institution that is relevant, with participants that are relevant to the topic, and that was at the Peace Research Institute in Oslo, and the same thing happened there.
Yeah. So just to explain to the people at home, because I'm not really sure if it's clear, we have this shutter in the back, which you brought from Lebanon to Amsterdam. It's full with bullet holes and other holes that were created by the civil war in Lebanon. And it's actually the question to the visitors of the STRAAT Museum here in Amsterdam to leave a post-it with these different colors that you see in the back, with messages of love and hope or other messages, whatever comes to mind. And we take out all of these post-its and we send them to you. And the idea is to select keywords out of all of these messages, and that's what you did with these two different workshops.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great way to sum it up. Yes, perfect. Thanks.
I know, like people are like tuning in and leaving and tuning in again. So it's just good for people to know to summarize the whole thing. So that's where we are right now with the project. Or at least we're already a little bit further, but we can't say too much to the people at home. It's very exciting, to be honest. But the first selections were made during these two workshops. Do you want to say something about like some of the words that you selected, or the post-its that you selected, and why?
Yeah. At the moment, like the post-its are in Oslo and I'm in Beirut, so I don't have them with me. But
okay, yep.
Maybe if you like, we can show the backside of the installation, or we keep it for the visitors to come to. I don't know, you choose.
We can go. We go.
So on the backside, we have some of the selections from the workshop, not all of them.
No,
still waiting, David.
Yeah. So here in the back we have the first selection of post-its that I actually pasted up with some of the people here at the museum, and it's just the first selection. We're going to add more, and it will be in the end like layer over layer of different post-its from the visitors of the museum that leave their messages in the bullet holes on the other side, and it creates this great collage of what comes to mind to people. So yeah, I don't know, Jad, I'm now showing the different posts. Are there any messages? Maybe you see it in mirror. I'm not sure.
I think what is amazing is how many languages I found. It's like really impressive how the street art like STRAAT is receiving people really from everywhere.
Yeah.
Many messages in Arabic, many messages in Ukrainian. I don't know, like I cannot remember all of them, but it's really so many languages, and that's so impressive.
There are a lot of people from Germany. We had a lot of messages from Germany, but also like French, a lot of Dutch messages, which of course is for you very difficult to understand. But it's beautiful to just see all these different messages and drawings by children come together here at the backside. And this is just the start, right? This is just the start of what we see, because eventually there will be a lot more of these keywords popping up, and we can of course say a little bit about like our bigger plan with all of these messages.
Yeah. Again, it's a portal. So the idea is to bring what the visitors have written outside to the street
Yeah.
and make STRAAT generator of real graffiti happening outside. And yeah, so next step would be to go to war zones and to start pasting up these messages and bringing or inviting in local graffiti artists to either work with or against or on or about the messages that they will see
Yeah.
pasted.
Yeah.
Mm.
So because that idea also evolved, because first we were going to select keywords and write them on the wall.
Yeah.
But as you can see now, like we also really like how the colorful paste ups on the back of the care portal look. So that's something that we might are going to do in these war zones eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Judd, can you describe like and please people, if you have any questions at home, please care to join, care to ask Judd or myself. What's the importance of this work for you, but like especially like I don't know, for people living in war zones, what's the importance of this work here at STRAAT?
Yeah, it's like very so many things. Like beside for me having informing people living on safe lands, what is it to be in a war zones or in a place of tyranny and oppression?
Mm-hmm.
It's also very healing for me to see so many participants. And through the project, like through the activities that are happening around the shutter, like the workshop and the interventions that will come later, a lot of connections are happening and a lot of coincidences are happening. One of the serendipities that we mentioned earlier is this opening day. Like I think it's important to say it. It was
Yeah.
very awkward. I don't know if I should call it serendipity because I don't think there's any good in what happened. But the day of the launch of the installation was 24th of February, which was the same day the war started in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that was not like so bitter, but also so like shocking. You know how a work that is very much relevant to what's happening starts on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just a thought. It's not something that is tangible that we can explain, but it's how it was. We can just mention
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
It happened, and I think a week or two later we raised money
Yep.
to support the people in Ukraine, and we opened our doors for people to come
Yep.
and talk with each other and discuss what's going on in Ukraine. And actually, the shutter and the messages that we see behind us the papers were changed to only the blue and yellow ones of the flag of Ukraine.
Yep.
So your work, the care portal, has been also important during the beginning for people to find each other and to feel strength and send strength to the people in Ukraine or to other places.
Yeah.
Of course, I think a lot of people were thinking about that situation at that time. And you still see a lot of people like we support the people in Ukraine and we're against the war.
Yeah, it would be very
and
important, I think, for maybe also for other events that would be the colors of other countries because the list is very long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's fair to also do the same for other countries and wars. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jad, if we go back to you already described it a little bit in the beginning, like you've been doodling around like bullet holes in buildings. That's not for everybody to do something like this. You know, it needs to have like something in your mind that thinks of I'm going to combine a really bad thing with a really beautiful thing. Can you go back to the beginning of how that started?
Yeah, of course. So initially, I was very interested in street art because of the quick access it has to a general public, not only professionals or art people, as some call them. And that's for me was like really important at the beginning. So the only thing I was doing since childhood was these doodles. So I started with that. And the work evolved, and I continued working about the same topic, which is the accidental war monuments or missile holes. But I evolved my practice in a way that instead of making drawings that are very much personal, because it's kind of my drawings, I've been doing them since childhood.
Yeah.
Instead of that, the evolution was that I started using a material that is from the urban fabric of Beirut, that is recognizable, that people knows. And that like changed a lot of things. Like it made the work much richer, much more accessible, and it helped me tackle these heavy topics like collective trauma or yeah. So one of the major installations in my career was in 2018. And can you still hear the cat?
It's okay. It's okay.
I can.
Like
Let me try one more thing. I will bring her here. So
okay, it's
yeah,
fine.
1 second.
We have been okay. Sorry for the small interruption. Pineapple bro. You have some cat issues there in the back. I'm sure Status will not have a problem with that.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe she just needs attention. So
yeah, that's
we'll
fine.
give her that.
Yeah, that's fine. She can be part of the STRAAT Talks. It's no problem for us. Yeah.
So yeah, going back to the project of 2018, it was an intervention on one of the most visible war monuments in Beirut.
Right.
It's a 44 floors tower that has 400 black windows. It's a tower that was not finished. It was being built in 1974, and they were using the latest techniques while they were building it. And it was supposed to be the highest office building in the Middle East back then.
Okay.
And people were so looking forward, for this new. And the tower was never finished. It stopped. The construction stopped in 1975 because of the war that started. So it transformed from what it was supposed to be an office building to a militia base and a sniper base. And even after the civil war, it became a torture prison when the Syrian army were occupying Lebanon.
Wow.
So the tower is very much linked to horrible stories, and the material I started using with this project was curtains that we normally see on the balconies of poor neighborhoods in Beirut, no matter if it's a Muslim or Christian neighborhood, especially that until now we still have this religious sectarianism going on and fueling the war leaders that are in power. But this material kind of makes a scene in the city through its color and through its movement with the wind, through exhibiting the wind and bringing in the environmental sensitivity. So what I did for this installation, I installed these curtains on the 400 windows of that tower.
Yeah.
And that could be seen really from everywhere in the city. And the wind did the job. It was the wind that was generating fiction by the second to victims of tyranny and religious sectarianism. And this project opened a lot of things. For me, it got a lot of attention from international media and press. It got some prizes, and from there, I started to get invited to do the same, to kind of reactivate forgotten buildings in many cities around the world.
Yeah.
I can give examples. There was Sicily Dunkirk, Stavanger for New Art Festival, and Corsica, etc.
Yeah.
And at some point, like the work became a bit repetitive, and I didn't want to be stuck into that. So that's when I went to study in Oslo
Okay.
2 years ago. And yeah, now I'm interested in, like I said, like this activity-based participatory works.
Right. So so you started with doodling. You worked with these curtains at this massive building in Beirut.
Yeah.
You've done this work in the back, which is also, of course, a strong reference to war.
Mm.
And what's the future going to bring for you? Is that still in the same theme, like the same kind of heavy
Yeah.
messages?
Yeah, um, I can, like, there's no way I can know. Like, it's impossible to know what's coming. I follow a lot what comes to me. And but I can tell you that there are few projects coming soon that like we signed contracts and they are happening for sure. One
Mm-hmm.
is the Land Art Festival in Gjerdrum in Norway. It's like the town that you can see from the plane when you are landing in Oslo airport.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of agricultural lands, and every 2 years they do this land art festival where artists make these mega scale pieces that you can see from the plane.
Right.
And for that, uh, I am still at the beginning of my research, but there's an incident that they had 2 years ago there in this town where there was a huge landslide, like the land just slided and many houses were destroyed and people died. And for such a small community, such a small town, everyone is still affected until today. And
Mm-hmm.
from experience, because I was lucky to survive the Beirut port explosion, where many people died and many are injured until now. So
Mm.
what I want to focus on in regard to that is the second day or like after the incident when the rescue team
Mm.
comes. In Beirut, there was no rescue team. It was people, volunteers, thousands of them, amazing people who went to the street, started cleaning and helping. But in Norway, there was a rescue team helping people, and they saved 16 person from under the rubble.
Okay.
So I would like to focus on this positive note or positive side of what we can do when a disaster happened, because you cannot change the fact that it happened, but what you can do is try to save the ones that can be saved. And so now my plan is to interview the rescue team who were there
Mm-hmm.
that night.
Okay.
And from there, we see what happens. So I don't know where this is going, but as a starting point for the project, I want to interview the rescue team.
Yeah. Well, you try to change something negative into something positive anyway. Looking at the back, looking at the work that you did
Yeah.
before, so still very much in line with the works that you've done before to change
Yeah.
a negative situation in something positive.
I would
That's wonderful.
say direct. I would say direct the focus because you cannot
Yeah.
change really. Yeah, it's just directing the focus to be able to continue and yeah, wake up the next day and yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah, because you were looking back at what you just mentioned, like the explosion in Beirut, you were there, right?
yeah. It was 2 days before moving to Oslo. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, because I remember that you shared some
Mhm.
videos and pictures with me,
Yeah,
maybe from your own place, but also from a place from a friend,
yeah,
if I remember, which was heavily damaged by the explosion.
yeah.
So how's the situation in Beirut after the explosion? How is the
Mhm.
situation right now?
Yeah, so it's many things that happened during those last 3 years on all level, social dynamics, economical, and the government is completely absent, and it's just personal initiative, NGOs, non-profit organizations that do the job of the government.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like honestly, many of my friends left and cannot handle this. And the ones who are here, either they are trying to do their best to change what's happening, or they. I don't want to generalize. I don't know. Each person is different, but
No, of course.
from what I see and what I guess is that people create their own circle and their own bubble and try to live with the troubles.
Yeah, I can imagine. And to jump back to the care portal, because you mentioned NGOs, I think we
Yeah.
didn't mention the part of the next couple of steps in the project. Of course, we can't say all the different parts of it, but we're going to show these keywords in different war zones, and eventually that's coming back. We're going to take pictures of that, and it's coming back as a photo exhibition here at the museum. And then to the NGO part, maybe you can tell like what's your idea regarding raising money.
Yeah, absolutely. So after the interventions in war zones, photographs will be taken and they will be exhibited at the gallery at STRAAT. And all sales goes to NGOs, to non-profit organizations in war zones working around this topic. Yeah.
So that's also a beautiful contribution and add to what you created here in the back. You mentioned that there were a couple more. It's everybody wants a STRAAT hoodie. You mentioned you were working on a couple of these projects. Can you mention a couple of others?
Yes, there is also an exhibition I'm planning for Beirut in November, end of November. So I will come in summer, maybe for a week or 2 or 3. But in summer, I'm gonna come to Beirut to make the project, and it's gonna be in 2 places. One is the neighborhoods around the port, where the explosion happened, and another one is in an area where we witnessed last year a small mini war, I would call it, like a 1 day of war. Between people who were not happy with the judge working on the investigation of the Beirut explosion. They are from the party called Hezbollah, and they went to the street with their weapons, and they were met they created fear in the city with like thousands of men dressing in black with their weapons. It wasn't a peaceful demonstration at all. And they were met with snipers who started shooting at them, and no one knows who the snipers are. So it was an incident in relation to the port explosion, just to say. And I'm going to go to these 2 sites and from the street, randomly, choose the balconies that has the most ruined, destroyed curtains. And I'm going to approach the people living in these apartments and ask if I can replace for them the old curtain with a new one, and at the same time record their voice telling their story of how they experienced these events. And then the curtains I will collect, like the destroyed ones, I would transform them into an installation that would be exhibited in a gallery in Beirut. And in this installation, there will be also a sound piece where you can listen to the experiences of the people.
Okay, wow, beautiful.
Yeah,
I didn't know of this. I didn't know of this event, but you're mentioning like the presence of Hezbollah. How much is that for you? I don't know, a fear at this moment if you're there?
I mean, they have been here for a long time and they have used assassinations. And I'm not just saying what I feel. It was like the international court declared clearly that they were behind the assassination of Rafi El Hariri, and it's not my feeling or what I think. It's like an official court that declared that, and until now they are in the government. They are hijacking the country. However, I'm not a politician. I'm not someone who can tell you details about politics.
No.
This is what I know. This is what I know.
Yeah, you're in Oslo right
Yeah.
now, and I'm here in the Netherlands, and we live in three countries. So I'm
Yeah.
just wondering like how it is to be there right now and to grow up in Lebanon and to be experiencing this on a daily basis.
Yeah. No, at the moment I'm in Beirut. I'm visiting,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
traveling
of
to
course.
Oslo tonight. Yeah, tonight I go to Oslo.
Okay. Yeah, no, of
Yeah.
course. Um, yeah, if, yeah, what I'm also asking the people I'm doing the interview with is, of course, you've been working a lot with different groups of refugees, with workshops. What's like a goal for maybe a goal or wish for the future to work with someone like I don't know, collaborate with an artist of choice? Do you have
Yeah.
someone in mind that you would really love to work with?
Yeah, I like things to happen naturally. You know, it's nothing like planned at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like when it's like the right time to happen, it will happen somehow in a way. Yeah. At the moment, there's a project in Oslo where, for example, I got commissioned or asked to propose something for a school in Oslo, and I have no idea about schools and the educational system in Oslo. You know, it's a complete different educational system. So I invited in two artists who have been teaching in schools for like 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we created a team, and it will be a collaboration where they will give workshops to the kids to try to collect some data, which I will transform into an installation.
Right,
So things happen when they need to happen in a natural way.
right. So there's no
Yeah.
specific artist that comes to mind when I ask the question like which artist would you like to
Well,
collaborate?
there's many artists I would like to learn from, you know, like
Yeah.
there's Hitto Steril, for example, who works about the internet and its effect, which is a subject that is so relevant today. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Olafur Eliasson, even though many see him like a businessman, but I like his work so much, and I think he's doing so well. So yeah, there's many artists who I would like to learn from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And who inspired you? Maybe in the
I'm
past or
yeah, maybe future farmers, the ones I mentioned earlier. Or there is also forensic architecture.
mm-hmm.
They are a group of a collage of different like professions from architects, investigators, artists, and together they investigate governments and they bring solid materials in their investigation that sometimes they take it to court
Right.
and they managed to sue some governments. Like they have sued Israel so many times for crimes they have done. So I'm a big fan of forensic architecture. So
Okay. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I've run through my questions, especially regarding the care portal. What we can mention right now, because we only took the first one or two steps, or maybe
Sorry,
three.
David. I just need a minute. I'll be back.
Okay, I'm not sure. I hope it comes with a surprise. People at home, if you're still watching, please add questions if you have them. And otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up here with Jad. He's in Beirut right now, flying back to Oslo tonight, and I'm here in Amsterdam in front of the work. I'm Michelle. You're just joining us at the end of the talk. Um, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'm not sure where Jad is at the moment. Let's just show the work one more time that we're talking about. It's the care portal. It's the shutter full of bullet holes in the back with a lot of colorful post-its. People leave their messages of love and hope. And these are messages for people living in war zones. We collect all of these papers and we send them to Jad. So they're a message of stay strong and etc. etc. And Jad is collecting and selecting these messages and selects the keywords that we're eventually going to share with the people living in war zones to give them a little bit of hope and love from the people here in Amsterdam, but as Jad also described before, there are visitors from all over the world that are joining us, and it's actually working very well. It's one of the highlights, one of the strongest pieces in STRAAT. Yeah, thank you so much. It's one of the strongest works that we have here in STRAAT. We especially see that the interactive part between art, especially if it's as strong as the one here in the back, with our visitors, works really well. I just did a sort of summary of the whole chat. Thanks, Gerard. I know you've been watching. Gerard is representing the Middle East Art Gallery here in Amsterdam, and has been of huge help for Jad and for STRAAT to move this shutter from Beirut through the harbor of Rotterdam to Amsterdam, and is also part of the next couple of steps of the project. So Jad, I think we will be tuning in at some other point with the people at home that are watching to share more of the different next steps that we're going to do. If there's anything, Jad, that comes to mind that we didn't discuss yet, now it's a moment to share. And otherwise, I would like to thank you for your time, and yeah, wish you a safe trip back to Oslo tonight.
Thank you, David. I'm so happy we did this interview, and so proud to be in Street Art Museum. Grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I'm very happy that we have this work, because it really adds a lot to the collection that we have. It adds a lot to the story that we're telling. It adds a lot to the diversity of street art and graffiti. And it shows how strong of a message you can come up with. And the interactive part with the visitors is truly amazing. So thanks from Amsterdam. Once again, Jad, we're always in touch. I know we for a fact have a Zoom call next week. I guess if we wait for the documentary maker to come up with a plan. But Gerard, I will also see you next week. Thanks for the people at home that joined us during the last 50 minutes, or that will look at the interview later. I will be back in 2 weeks with someone new, some artist that is also part of the collection. I wish you good night, good afternoon, good morning, and Jad, I will talk to you soon. All right.
Thanks, David.
Bye, Gerard. Bye, everyone. Bye.